today. So today we are going to talk about a topic that I get a lot of calls about, and that is narcissism, or better yet, my spouse is a narcissist. My spouse is a narcissist. If you've ever questioned, is your spouse a narcissist? Go to the column, put a capital N. You can even write out narcissist if you want. Just go to the comments and put that there. So it's a big thing that I get, and I know this is entitled the number one trait of narcissists. What we're gonna talk about is the best way to deal with having a narcissist spouse, and you may be surprised come the end in terms about how you feel about your spouse being a narcissist. So it's interesting because couples will call me, and I've had like 10 o'clock, one spouse calls me, we met last week, and I just want to give you a heads up for our next meeting. He's a narcissist. He is a stone cold narcissist. I just wanted to warn you. So a couple of hours go by, let's say it's 3 o'clock. I get a call from the other spouse. Whew, Doc, she's narcissistic. This is all about her narcissism. So I want you to just stop and put a special thing together for us next time and deal with them as the narcissist that she is, the narcissist they are. That happens all the time. What doesn't happen, and I want you to tell me if this on this call there are any exceptions. If I say, let's say I say to a room of 100 people, how many of you are married to narcissistic spouses? If their spouse isn't there, a lot of hands will go up, right? How many of you are a narcissist? How many of you are narcissistic yourself? I've never had one hand go up. And so it just is always interesting to me. And I'll talk about why it's interesting. So let's kind of look at what being a narcissist is. I got my phone here. 7 traits of being a narcissist. Seem perfect at first. A lot of spouses or people that you're married do. You heard music, the burning bush said they're the one, all that kind of stuff. It's just sometimes we just have that connection. Talk about themselves almost all the time. They are sensitive to perceived, even misperceived criticism. They give backhanded compliments. They manipulate our feelings. They are arrogant. They cannot stand rejection. Okay, so let's say bingo. You look, and you don't have to necessarily get 7. You get 5 out of 7, and you've concluded my spouse is a narcissist, right? And what do I do now? So, this is interesting because in society, only 1%, literally, if you look up narcissism and you look at prevalence rate, you'll see only 1% of society, the spouses actually, or that people are narcissists. So if I got 2 spouses that are narcissists, boy, 2 outliers together, kind of unusual. I'm saying that's the good news. That's not the bad news. The bad news is they actually are a narcissist because there's nothing we could do if you're married to a narcissist. Boy, you just made a bad choice. I honestly, I don't tell people to divorce. But if you truly are married to a narcissist, it's a personality disorder. I can't change personality disorder. It's what we call access to disorder. That means it is like mental retardation. It is stable over time. Just like you can't make a and I'm not trying to be insulting anyone, retarded person not be mentally retarded. You just can't. That's who they are. So if you actually have a narcissistic spouse, boy, it's just bad. Y'all know what I mean? Because if you think about it, if your spouse is narcissistic, they were always narcissistic. They didn't become narcissistic. They always were. It's interesting. When I do work with couples, one of the first things I ask them is, give me your timeline. I call it the story of you two. I'll say, walk me from when you met till today. What was your initial reaction? I say narcissists, they were perfect. Okay. All right, so I'll walk them from here to here. If they're truly a narcissist, you'll see where there were signs all over the place. And sometimes that does happen, don't get me wrong. But it's a rare thing that someone was just that self absorbed in all of those things and they actually made it down the aisle to you marrying them. It's just rare. That's good news, not bad news. The bad news would be, boy, that's actually true. So, what could it be instead of that? So, I've come up with two conclusions. The first conclusion is they're narcissistic ish. Y'all know what it is when they got that ish, right? But they might think you're narcissistic ish too. But that means where, let's say there's 7 criteria, they meet 5 of them. And to have it, you have to have 7. And they got 5. So, okay, they have that. That's fine. Still not a true narcissist. But I think something else happens. I think something else happens. And this is why both people call me. And I'll say this, I've been in a room with a narcissist, and it is a very difficult conversation for me to have, even professionally. It's just like you can't win. I mean, pretty early on. And for you to have survived that long, because it's not like they hide it or can hide it too long, not that good at it. So probably not narcissist, maybe narcissistic-ish, but more likely you both have a narcissistic wound. A narcissistic wound. So what do I mean by that, and why is that relevant? So a narcissistic wound is this. A narcissistic wound is where your pain is so deep, or their pain is so deep, that you can't attend to each other's pain. Like our pain just blinds us. We're so hurt. We feel these things, and it defines them. And I've had spouses like where the other person is saying, yeah, babe, I think we need to move forward. I want to reconnect with you intimately again. And they go through this 5-minute thing, and I say, yes, great. They're finally ready to move forward. And the spouse doesn't hear none of that. I said, what do you think? They say, well, it just is they're never coming through. They're never changing. They've been like this for the last 3 years, and I'm just tired of it. It's like, what party? Yes, don't you understand? We become like Democrats and Republicans, right? We don't compromise no more. So a narcissistic wound is simply this, right? You got the market of pain cornered. So I'll give you a real live example. So let's say you come into my office, you're on my couch, and I say, it's Friday, it's lunch. Let me pour you a light drink. What's your favorite glass of wine? One of you says, oh, I like Zinfandel, the other Merlot. So I'm in there, I'm pouring, getting the right glasses and all this stuff. If you're a non-drinker, I'll give you a fruit something, whatever you might want. And so tea, coffee, I'm in there and I'm putting your drink together. And while I'm there, I hear someone ruffle, and someone runs in, and I hear the sound of someone running, and I hear pop, pop, 2 shots. At the end of the second shot, I hear a shrill sound. Like, oh my God, that is unreal. You just got shot in the kneecap. Extremely painful place to be shot. Very unlikely to kill you, but boy, it is excruciatingly painful. So I hear this shrill holler. I leave the drinks there. I run in. Normally, I chase this person, right? Normally, sir, you'd probably help me, but you've been shot in the heart. And ma'am, you've been shot in the kneecap. Oh my God, it is painful. So this is how the narcissistic wound things work. Sir, I'd ask, normally would you attend to her knee? So if you're out there, normally would you attend to the pain she's going with her knee? Absolutely would. Why don't you? Think about the answer and I'll give it to you. Because I don't want to just lodge this bullet and bleed out. I might die. I'm shot in the heart. I'm not moving nowhere. EMS is going to have to come here and compress this thing, right? So, doesn't attend to her knee. Ma'am, I frequently ask, would you normally put compression on his chest yourself and make sure he's okay and attend to him? Oh my God, I would. I said, well, why aren't you? I put my weight on this knee and it was worse than childbirth. It was worse than childbirth. It was the most excruciating pain that just ran up and down me. So I can't. That's a narcissistic wound. We get to the point where we're so hurt that we can't see their pain. And that's what I think happens to couples. We get to the point where we have two monologues instead of a dialogue. And our monologue is us talking about how we're hurt. We're not talking about how they're hurt. We're not talking about how both of us are hurt. That would be a dialogue. But we have these interrupted monologue. We're like, they're talking, okay. We press pause. And when they get done, I'm going to say, yeah, yeah. And I'll say, yeah. And oh my God, then I'm going to hit them with that. Because I remember back in 2017, they did that again. It's the same pattern. And then we look over. Now their lips are still moving. In fact, their mother does that. This is they got mama issues. They got daddy issues. And then they stop moving their lips. And we don't comment on nothing they said. We just hit play and we download. And then they do the same thing to us and we have these two monologues. It sounds like we're talking, but it's a dialogue and we don't hear each other. So if we're at that place, we may be somewhere where we need professional help. Where we need professional help. So I'm saying to you, if you have, think about it. Let's be honest. How many of you have narcissistic wounds? Most of us probably do. In fact, I have two couples where they both have PTSD, and his PTSD is triggering her PTSD, and her PTSD is triggering hers. She doesn't feel respected and heard, never did. He feels, hey, I need to do it my way. I want to be autonomous. And when he's autonomous, it doesn't seem like he's listening to her. And when he's being autonomous, it feels like she's being dismissed and not respected. And when she feels disrespected and dismissed, she doesn't give a crap about him being autonomous. She wants him to, show her that he respects her. And they feed off each other. They trigger each other. So anyways, I'm going to bring this home. But it may be the case that the number one thing about narcissists is A, we're not married to a narcissist. B, we're not a narcissist. And C, we both have narcissistic wounds and we don't know what to do and we don't know how to get them treated and to get them healthy. So it's Dr. Shane. We're going to do a whole series on this. And I look forward to seeing you in the group. Thank you. It was nice talking with you today. So go to the browser, go to the comments section, ask me, are you a narcissist? Are they a narcissist rather? So type your big N. Are you a narcissist? I'm not going to get any on that, but that'll be a small N. But I'm not going to get any of those. Okay, are you narcissistic-ish? Are they narcissistic-ish? Type ish in the browser. Do you or he or both of you have narcissistic wounds? Type in NW or narcissistic wounds. Anyways, thank you for joining me today. Dr. Shane, as we talked about, one of the biggest things I hear about all the time, and that is, what's the number one thing to let you know that, yeah, I'm really married to a narcissist? All right, make it a great day, and I'll see you in the group. Have a good one.